We will be starting out with education, including higher education and child care. Then we'll move to public safety, then human services, then general government, and then revenues. And we have two open items still from resources that we will have to close down today. So that's the order in which we will move through the items this afternoon. All right, members, is everybody ready to start here? All right, good afternoon, everybody. I think we're ready to start now. We are beginning with K through 12, Proposition 98 package, and then we will be moving on, as I said, to community colleges, higher ed, and child care. The first 7 pages of the open items in K through 12 are part of an overall Proposition 98 package for the committee's consideration. There is a handout being passed out. It's somewhat lengthy and complex, so I don't want to sit here and read an entire 3 or 4 pages, but the handout does summarize the actions that we would be taking. So if you would, committee members, take a moment to look over the package, and then I'll ask if you have any questions or clarification, and then I would ask for a motion to adopt the package altogether as one. So take a moment, members, to look it over. Just to summarize for members, it does adopt nearly $5.5 billion in overall Proposition 98 reductions for 0809 and 0910, including $4.5 billion in reductions to K through 12 education. Perhaps the LAO, could you just give us a brief summary walking through these elements for us? We've already discussed them in great detail, so summarizing for us would be helpful.
So our understanding is that the package does go to the governor's May 22nd level, as you just indicated. It takes the $5.5 billion in reductions. It does the deferrals. Our understanding is all of the inter and intra-year deferrals that are included within that package. It takes the bulk of the reductions on the K-12 side to revenue limits. On the community college side, my understanding is that it's sort of split, again, between their apportionments, and I know you'll talk about that later anyhow, I'm sorry, with the categoricals. It includes the home-to-school transportation program, pulling it into the flex item that's been created and having it take a comparable cut to other programs that are within that item. It adopts a variety of flexibility proposals, which you've discussed before. In some cases, modifies them just slightly, like in the instructional day proposal. It does have some accompanying language pieces that are related to the maintenance factor, the reserve, and multi-year budgeting. I don't know if those have been attached, but those are the major components of the package. I'm sorry, the other major component would be the federal stimulus money would all be authorized.
Members, did you have any questions or clarification, Mr. Dutton?
Yeah, I'm trying to grab a hold of this. What's the revenue that we're dealing with? Because 98, we're dealing with the. Are we also dealing with the governor's proposal for contingency appropriation? And why wouldn't we want to do that?
Department of Finance.
My understanding is that the revenue limit is not recognizing the $3 billion in additional revenue loss estimated by the Legislative Analyst Office. As we've previously stated, we believe it's appropriate to recognize that revenue, and as such have proposed reductions to recognize $24 billion as the number to solve for.
So, well, which revenue, which number, governor's number is the?
Accepting the governor's first May revenue.
Not, but we know from the LAO that that's probably going to be $3 billion less, right?
Well, we had the LAO said that, you know, it was within the range, but it could be as much as a $3 billion risk.
Well, we've been down this path before, so if we know we probably aren't going to make it, wouldn't it make sense? Well, it seems to me it would be more prudent and fiscally responsible for us to work with the governor's proposal on the contingency appropriation, because that money could always be separated and given to them if it materializes. It's highly unlikely. I haven't seen anything happen here of late. As a matter of fact, the Anderson School of Business came out with forecast. They're looking at the unemployment to stay consistent at this high double digit.
Yeah, they attributed most of it to the layoff of state employees.
Well, no, that's not true. You can actually take it. Well, then you need to read the other reports. But in any case, I got some concerns about that. And then also, too, there was Also, with regarding the last item, I believe it's, you're looking at the other proposals section, and then there's I guess this language is what's, there's attached language here to look at. The third one there, isn't that the proposition, the minimum guaranteed maintenance factor obligations? Wasn't that in Proposition 1B that the voters just rejected? I'm talking to the LEO, or whoever is proposing this. I don't know.
It's part of the package. It's not our language.
It's similar. I can answer that. I mean, it is similar to the 1B language. It is a statute, so it's sort of an intent of the legislature to try to restore funding when you can. It's not constitutional. It's not tied to things the way 1B was. It's more of a, it's a statutory acknowledgement that we perhaps ought to pay education back when times are better.
So this won't bound future legislators to mandate that they have to do this, or if that's the case, why would we put it in statute?
It's basically acknowledging that we owe money.
But it's going to bound us to that, right? In other words,
It doesn't bound you how you pay it or when.
Right.
Or it suggests
We
that
either
you
pay
could
it now
start
or
a
we pay it
repayment.
later.
You could start a repayment plan after 11, depending on how you.
I mean,
Okay.
although it is statute, the intent is to further the purposes of the Constitution. So they have language in there which would attempt to give it more legal force. It does deal both with the central issues surrounding Prop B, with the creation and maintenance and payment of maintenance factor. And it does set in place then how the state would presumably interpret it moving forward. It leaves some ambiguity in 910 and 1011, and then clarifies it beginning in 1112. So it does have a certain understanding about when it's created and when it's paid, and it does end up providing the more generous funding level for education.
okay. I think it's, well, never mind what I think. I think it's going to tie the hands, severely, and I don't think this is going anywhere near trying to solve any kind of long-term problem. So.
Thank you. Mr. Nielsen?
Madam Chair, in the same light, I do believe that this proposal before us does conspicuously lack the reforms that we require to get ourselves out of the hole in an enduring way, and in fact goes backwards in terms of Prop 1B. We're building in a maintenance factor here that restores us right back to what the people in 1B said no to. The contracting out provision is of concern to us. Failed to reduce or add to the flex aid programs is something that would be a part of constructive future policy, as well as the suspension of the categorical
Mr. Nielsen, wait, what did you just talk about with the I'm sorry. I didn't understand the one comment in the middle.
We're
said
not
the flex
reducing or
programs?
adding to the flex programs, the EIA, the CSR, the child nutrition. The other categoricals, we're kind of exempting them from some of the
Yeah, we
reductions.
exempted them, yeah.
That's,
They didn't get exempted from the reduction, just from the flexibility.
I understand, but that's one of the ways we get control of this prospectively in the ed categoricals, is to give more flexibility, as we did in the earlier budget resolution earlier this year.
This one maintains all of the same ones from there.
I know, but I think we need to continue to go further. That's my point, in terms of giving more categorical flexibility to local school districts.
The only other one I think that was added in was the home to school was added into the flexibility because the funds were reduced from taking the money from the PTA. But I think other than that, if I'm not mistaken, most of the flexibilities that were created in February are maintained and in fact extended, and then a couple are increased, if you will. The instructional materials is added to, so people don't have to adopt textbooks if they think their current textbooks are enough. And we suspended the routine maintenance. We adopted the governor's proposal on the sale of surplus property flexibility. We're giving them additional restriction, access to fund balances for additional years beyond what February did. We've given the governor's 5-day allowance as a flexibility. I don't know.
I understand the progress that you're reciting, but I would just argue that it's not going far enough, and I'm very concerned about that maintenance factor as well.
Maintenance factor's a problem.
Mr. De Leon, then Mr. Nilo.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I think we're dealing with apples and oranges right now, because if we don't accept the language that's before us today, I think it's my understanding, at least, that we'd have to pay this money right now. And that's why we need this language here, because it does keep the integrity of Proposition 98. What was before us and what was before the voters with regards to 1B on May 19th is different from this language that we have before us today. This is a mechanism, without a doubt, that restores the funding for our children, K through 12, in the future. And it keeps the integrity of Prop 98. However, I want to underscore the following. We're sort of dealing with apples and oranges, because we do need this language. Without the language, at least it's my understanding, we would have to pay the money right now.
Mr. Nilo?
I've got a few comments to make, but I'd like to address that one first, because that's not at all my understanding. So perhaps Department of Finance or LAO might have some comments on that. My understanding is that what we're doing here is essentially adopting Proposition 1B that was on the ballot in May, and making the decision on that maintenance factor that is otherwise very much in question relative to the terms of the Constitution as defined by Proposition 98.
It maintains a higher base.
So both, in both cases, Prop 1B and the language in this package deal with both the creation and the payment of maintenance factor. In both cases, Prop 1B and this language does deal with the creation and clarify some existing ambiguity, that in 8.9, maintenance factor of about $8 billion is created. That is consistent between the two. There is a difference in the payment. Prop 1B had a particular payment schedule that started, I think, in 12-13 and then went out for 5 or 6 years. This starts essentially in 11-12, and it says it's going to be paid just like other maintenance factors paid once you get to that period in time. Again, it leaves open some of this ambiguity for 9-10 and 10-11. So absent this language, it just will remain an issue. Was any maintenance factor created in 8-9, and if so, how and when would it be paid?
Any additional comment from the Department of Finance on that?
Just another key difference between this and Prop 1B is that Prop 1B was part of a package that provided a fund source for making the payments that 1B created an obligation to make.
And that really gets at why 1B was on the ballot. It was part of a budget deal. It was not an agreement necessarily by various parties as to what the answer to the question was. It was just part of the package of the propositions put to the voters as part of the budget deal. On those that would question whether that maintenance factor is indeed owed, it was just an acquiescence by them that it could be part of the budget package, given that other things were part of it too. It was, quite frankly, political negotiation. And what we'd be doing by this action here is the legislature would be opining that the maintenance factor is indeed owed. At least in this case, I gather by the comments of LAO that some ambiguity is still left, so I don't know what it achieves as far as the ambiguity is concerned, but the issue otherwise might have to be adjudicated by the courts, whether we pass this or not. But in any case, the legislature is opining that the maintenance factor is owed when there is a very good and logical case that it indeed is not owed. So that's the problem. So,
we separate?
But I think we'll probably want a few issues separated. A very brief comment relative to the deferrals. This is, of course, the governor's proposal. I have, and Republicans generally have been supporting governor's proposals here. I have a concern about the deferral from 1 year to the other. But moving on to more substantive issues, with regard to the flexibility proposal, let me talk about first number one. On Mr. Dutton's point, it's a good point, but whichever revenue limit we use,
that's what the funding will be. And if we were to adopt the revenue limit with the $21 billion shortfall as opposed to the 23, that would just have to be made up if indeed the other $3 billion shortfall did materialize, and all estimates agreed with that. Further, unless one believes that the economy at this point has hit bottom, we'll probably have additional revenue shortfalls during the budget year that we're going to have to address, and I would put an emphasis on that. I think we all need to keep that in mind relative to our solutions today. So that issue is kind of, to paraphrase that car repair commercial, you can pay me now or you can pay me later. It is, the funding is going to be a function of what the revenue is. So that's just a reality. With regard to the flexibility proposals, there are some things in there that I support. But on a whole, I cannot support that package because there are things that are in here that I do not support, that I think are wrong, and there are things that are not here that absolutely should be. We had a discussion relative to the use of federal stimulus funds, a discussion we'll probably continue to have, and I was suggesting that we hold some back. There was the argument made by others that, we ought to forward the money and allow school districts to decide how best to use it. Well, bingo, that's the idea. That's the point. And when we were talking about it, I granted that that was a very good point, and if local control is good for that issue, it darn well ought to be good for other issues, and we should be looking to eliminate every possible mandate we possibly can and let school districts decide what is best for them and how best to utilize their revenue dollars. But on the point of the federal dollars, I'd just jump ahead to the other proposals. With regard to reserve requirements and multi-year budgeting, we are loosening fiscal controls along with the transparency thereof that will make it easier for school districts to make the mistakes that we exactly don't want them to make if we are going to advance the federal funds up front without holding some back. So there are two issues there. If we want to allow local control, let's allow as much local control as possible, and when it comes to issues financial and particularly cash management, let's not take transparency rules away so that if there is any, shall we say, lack of prudent use of that cash flow, that it would be discovered too late and to the point that some districts might in fact go insolvent. But with regard to the flexibility rules, as I say, there are some of these in here that I like, but eliminating the high school graduation test, there's absolutely no justification for that, and not including other things, especially contracting out. If schools can make the decision as to how to handle their cash flow, why can't they make the decision as to how they're going to handle their own workloads, particularly non-instructional? And then, of course, the other proposals I expressed what the concern is there.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to figure out some way that we can take a vote on this package that would help accommodate your concerns, Mr. Nielo, but having heard that litany, it's making me think there's not any portion of the package that you do want to vote aye on. So can you help me out here?
I could support the item number 1. I can support item number 3.
Now, where are you? Are you talking about pages? You're looking at
the
this?
proposal here. I can support page 1 with the
You're working off the
caveat that I mentioned, but
not just page 1, but you're working off of this agenda, right?
Well,
and
that has
you're doing
page
the little
numbers,
numbers.
too.
That's what I
Page
meant. Those aren't
numbers on
page
the far
numbers, but these numbers are the numbers. Okay.
So page number 1 and page number 3, as well as page numbers 5, 6, and 7. But what I cannot support is page number 2, the revenue deferral. I have concerns about that, and as I said, but page 4, the flexibility, that list of reform is just not totally appropriate.
Got it.
And on the other proposals, I do not support any of those.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I think we've got it in such a way that we can take a series of motions then on this package.
And I'm not sure, I believe that Mr. Nielsen has the same ideas as I do.
Yeah, he's
We'll have to see when he
stepped
comes
out.
back. I don't know, I'm not speaking for the Senate Republicans.
Right, I was just about to ask the Senate Republicans.
We have a few that we don't like also, so
Okay,
if
which
it's
ones
easier
might
for us
those
just
be?
to pull them off or
Are
go
those
one by
others?
one.
Are they others than what Mr. Nilo
We have
mentioned?
similar, but we also have additional ones. For example, we don't like number 1.
Okay.
Well, but then we should just take the vote.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we,
No.
if we take separate votes on each item, then we can record your vote differently than the Assembly Republicans. Problem is, we need Mr. Nielsen. Does anybody know where he went? There he is, okay. All right, so what we're going to do then is, rather than take pages 1 through 7 as one package, we're going to take them page by page, one by one, essentially, starting with page 1. So I would need a motion to adopt the recommendation on page 1 that's been moved. And I believe 5-0 in the Assembly side and 3-2 on the Senate side. Page number 2, then, Proposition 98 deferrals. I need a motion to adopt it. That's been moved. On the Assembly side, it's 3 ayes and 2 noes. On the Senate side, 5 ayes. Page number 3, home to school transportation. I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
It's been moved. On the Assembly side, page 3. 5 ayes. And on the Senate side, 5 ayes. Great. So on page 4, this is the various flexibility proposals. I need a motion to adopt. It's been moved, and on the Senate side, it's 5 ayes, and on the Assembly side, 4 ayes, 1 no.
The flexibilities.
Excuse me, 3 ayes, 2 noes on the Assembly side. Then taking pages 5 through 7, looks like we can take one vote. Am I right on that? So I need a motion to adopt on pages 5, 6, and 7. That's been moved. 5 ayes on the Assembly side and 5 ayes on the Senate side. Then the other proposals, should we take those? We have A, B, and C. Let's take them all together. I would ask for a motion to adopt. It's been moved. On the Senate side, it's 3 ayes, 2 noes, and on the Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. All right, that's pages 1 through 7.
Madam Chair, what about
Yes, sir.
page 4, items E and F?
Well, they go.
Those
with
were
A, B,
part
C,
of the, that was
You
part
never
of the
said,
package.
I never,
Oh, we said page 4.
yeah, but you just said D, I didn't hear, and then page in there.
Oh, you didn't say E and F.
Oh, did you want to vote on each of those items
Well, we
separately?
have item E on page 4, we're a no.
Okay. You want to pull up?
I believe we recorded you as a no on.
No, what happened was we took all of it as one.
Is that the one you were worried about?
Oh, I apologize. Then let's go back to page 4. We'll take a motion on 4, A, B, C, D, and F.
Right.
Okay, I have a motion on that. So on the Senate, that's 5 ayes, and on the Assembly, that's 5 ayes. Then on
Wait.
They're 3-2 across the board.
page 4, I'm sorry, it's
A, B,
3-2 on the
C, D,
Assembly
and F.
side. Then on page 4E, we need a separate motion.
But hold on, he was objecting. Yeah, he was objecting to the whole thing. Okay, so that's, okay.
What about F? Aye, okay, so,
I'd also vote aye for elimination of contracting out, as well as a list of other things if you'd allow me time to develop.
Go for it.
well,
Present it. We just haven't seen it yet.
and we've been here a month, so. All right. So let's back up on page 4, all
Or just
right?
take E out. Yeah. We already had it. Oh, no, maybe not.
Let's take page 4 again.
Yeah.
A, B, C, D, and F. Are we 5-0 on the Assembly and 5-0 on the Senate? Page 4E, 3-2 on the Senate side and 3-2 on the Assembly side. All right, I think that dispenses of pages 1 through 7. So moving on to pages 8 and 9, we again have a staff compromise with a handout. Want to make sure everybody has that. Do we have? Oh, we already have it. Take a moment to look at it. This compromise would appropriate funds for Title I federal program improvement, appropriates $165 million in 2009 and 10 per the Title I basic grant formula, and sets aside $403 million pursuant to legislation to be enacted this legislative session. Questions, members, comments? If not, I would entertain a motion to adopt the staff compromise. All right, I have a motion. On the Senate side, it's 3 in favor and 2 opposed, and on the Assembly side, 3-2 as well. That takes care of pages 8 and 9. Page 10 is the vote-only calendar, and we're getting a handout on that. I would note that agenda page 10, dealing with the federal reading first, has been added to the vote-only list.
Madam Chair, what did you say has been added to the list?
Agenda page 10, dealing with federal reading first.
It's at the bottom. It's not the bottom.
It's number 20 on the handout that you should have. It's on page 3. Mr. Nilo, did you have a question or a comment?
The item that was added is number what on this list?
Number 20 on page 3.
Okay. The one comment that I wanted to make relative to this list is with regard to item number 11, and we can support that, but have continuing concerns relative to the language involving charter schools. Just want to go on record with that point.
That's just something you want to note for the record, then? It doesn't require a separate action. Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Department of Finance.
We also object to issue number 19, and that's $18 million for the charter school facilities grant. Part of the agreement last year between the multi-track year-round school and charter facilities was that we would forward fund the charter schools facilities program, and these monies were supposed to be used to bring them up current to that proposal, and this would be in contrast with that.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I would entertain a motion to adopt the vote-only list. It's been moved on the Assembly side. The vote is?
The motion is?
To adopt the vote-only list that you have on the handout.
The entire list.
The entire list.
The language they're still working on is that the staff is working on the language issue, I think, right?
We're willing to, with regard to my point about number 11, we're willing to support, but just want to express some concerns that we have relative to charter schools.
The staff
Understood.
continues to work on the language that can be worked out there.
Right, and that's been noted now. Twice. We're really efficient here. All right, on the Assembly side, what's the vote? 5-0? Senate side, 5-0. All right, great. Page 11 requires no action. Well, did you want some discussion on this? No? Okay, then. Well, page 11 would continue to defer the education mandates as budgeted.
The only comment is, I know folks have been pursuant to discussion up here, and as we did yesterday in local government, looking at these mandates for opportunities to suspend and eliminate. I don't want to mess up the order of things today because we need to move on this and we need to adopt the 98 numbers. But I still think it's a worthy conversation, and I'm hopeful that we somehow sustain it past here. And I don't know whether we can come back as a separate bill later or something, but I don't want to get into messing up everybody's 98 numbers today because we're trying to close this out and get bills to the floor. And so maybe the eliminations can't be worked out, but I think the way we did yesterday's mandate list was a good thing, and I would hope that Finance and LAO and our staffs can all kind of look at that mandate list for opportunities to do similar things where we can actually suspend or maybe tweak the language and suddenly it's not a mandate, or eliminate them, or, you know, and we ought to be looking for those opportunities in this universe as well.
Okay, that means we can now move on to child care.
Either bright.
Okay, members, pages 13 through 19 are all one package, and the package is being handed out to you now, so I'd ask you to take a look at that, and then we can consider taking one action. All right, when members are ready, I would entertain
Page by page, though.
a motion to move the entire package as one, unless there's an objection. Ms. Walters?
If you want to do that, that's fine.
Okay.
Page 13 through 19.
Yeah, 13 through 19. It's all one package.
Madam Chair,
Department of Finance.
Lynn Podesta with Finance. We do have a couple of concerns before you take the motion, so
Go ahead.
we go through those. We're concerned that we've made no real structural reforms in this program. We believe some more reductions could be made. The fee issue, the RMR, we're putting off rebenching to the 85th and using an old survey, which creates some concerns with the federal government that requires a survey every couple of years, and that the fees and that the limits be based on that. We're also concerned, we haven't seen any of the revised language on the stimulus. Maybe we can work that out with staff, but we just haven't seen that. And also we're concerned with the Advisory Council on Attachment D. I think that contradicts current federal law, so we have concerns with that.
Where was that? I'm sorry.
It's Attachment D, where you're creating a, augmenting an advisory council for purposes of the, what's the word for it? The Head Start.
Yeah, we have a difference of opinion there, but thanks for noting that on the record.
Okay.
And also, I would thank you again for raising those items of concern. These are things that we talked about earlier in our process, so we're ready to act unless there's any objection from any members. All right, so do I have a motion to move the entire package? It's been moved. On the Senate side, the vote is 3 in favor, 2 against. On the Assembly side, 2 in favor, 2 against. Mr. De Leon has stepped away momentarily, but when he comes back, we will add him on. So we can now move to higher education. Members, the open items are pages 31 through 37 and page 43. And the recommendation is, again, to take this as one package, and I believe that's being handed out right now for us to take a look at. I just would announce that we have added Mr. De Leon as an aye on the child care package. All right, Ms. Walters?
Madam Chair, if we're going to take this as one package, then we're going to be a no, but there are items in this package that we're okay with. So,
Well,
it's-
would it accommodate you then to take them page by page?
I think that would be a better choice. Thanks.
Would you like to note then which pages you would like a separate vote on to vote, record a no vote?
Why don't we just go page by page?
I think it's actually easier if we went through each one because we have quite a few we can support.
Okay, then let's, I'll entertain a vote to, we're going to go page by page, members, then. So let's start out with page 31, which is the University of California unallocated reductions for 2008, 2009, and 2009, 2010. So I would ask for a motion to adopt the package with respect to page 31. I have a motion. On the Senate side, the vote is 5-0, and on the Assembly side, Mr. Nealer, you have a question or a comment? Oh, page 31. It's 5-0 on the Assembly side as well. Moving on to page 32, again, University of California, eliminate funding for student academic preparation programs. I would ask for a motion to adopt the package on page 32.
Yeah, this one, okay, so it's 32,
Yeah.
page 32.
Page 32. All right, there's a motion, and on the Senate side, it's 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Page 33, University of California intra-year cash deferral.
Treasurer bill.
Would ask for a motion to adopt the package on that one, and that's been moved. Senate, the vote is 5-0, and on the Assembly side, 5-0. Page 35, there's 2 items. This is the California State University unallocated
Yeah.
reductions. I would ask for a motion on this one. It's been moved. On the Senate side, 5 ayes. On the Assembly side, 5 ayes. Page 36, California State University eliminate general fund support for academic preparation and early testing. I'd ask for a motion to adopt the package recommendation on this. It's been moved. Senate is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Page 37, California State University intra-year cash deferral. I need a motion to adopt the package on this one. It's been moved. On the Senate side, 5 ayes, and in the Assembly, 5 ayes. Page 43 has several items regarding the Student Aid Commission, and I would note, members, that covers both of pages 3 and 4.
I have to separate items on this one.
I'd ask for a motion on these items on page 43. It's been moved.
We had already voted not to eliminate them, and then these are the modifications to the Cal Grant program, freezing the
Right.
income eligibilities and the stuff that helps do cost containment. And I assume in addition, we have the fund shift from the student loan operating fund that the LAO identified.
Yes,
so,
right.
to backfill for the Cal Grants.
Is there
So
any problem
I
in
move
taking
all of
one
43.
action on all of these? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so we have a motion, and on the Senate side, it's 3 ayes, 2 noes, and on the Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Then the one remaining item is item number 31.
This is just reappropriating money. It's technical, I think. It's
Yeah.
reappropriating the ed fund sale.
Right. Yeah,
One more time
reappropriating
with
the
feeling.
ed funds sale. Do you have a motion to adopt this one, members? It's been moved. On the Senate side, 5 ayes. Assembly side, 5 ayes. Now, is this a new, oh, that's,
So we're
okay,
done.
child.
That's all of it.
So now we're in community college.
Now we're doing community colleges? Is that what we're doing? Okay. In my book, it's right in front of it.
So we can move on to community colleges. This is, the remaining items open are pages 38 and 42, and they're all addressed again in one package, which is being handed out. So if members could take an opportunity to look at that, and we can go to questions and comments and action. Okay, members, the first question I would ask is if we can take one action, or do you need us to divide these out by pages? Mr.
Yeah, I
Duffy?
think the only item we need to pull off is 41, page number 41.
Okay. Same on the assembly side, just page 41?
Just the first 41.
Just the first 41, okay. So then I would,
We had 42 also.
and
Madam
42.
Chair.
And 39, all right. Do I hear page 38 and 40?
Let's try separate votes on each page. Okay.
I think we'll take them one at a time, if that's all right. On page 38, there are 3 items: delete enrollment growth funding, eliminate categorical growth, and redirect partial growth funding to base apportionments. And so I would ask for a motion that would adopt the action in the package on page 38. All right, we have a motion on that. Senate is 5 ayes, and the Assembly is 5 ayes. Moving on to page 39, this is defer $115 million in apportionment payments from 2008-09 to fiscal year 2009-10. I'd ask for a motion adopting the package on this item. That's been moved. On the Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. On the Senate side, 5 ayes. Page 40, reduced funding rate for physical education and recreational courses.
The action is actually to approve the unallocated reduction to apportionments and let them figure out how to deal with their internal enrollment caps, acknowledging that they could have that lower rate, but without setting a mandate up that's hard for them to sort through the classes per the conversation we had here yesterday.
Local control.
I know it happens sometimes.
It does.
Well, Chancellor Scott control anyway. I don't know about local.
Do I have a motion to adopt the package action on this? All right, I have a motion. Senate, 5 ayes. Assembly, 5 ayes. All right, page 41, categorical program reductions. Can I have a motion to adopt the package action? I have a motion. Senate is 3-2, 3 ayes, 2 noes.
Is that on both pieces or?
Just the first item on 41, sorry. And Assembly is 3 ayes, 2 noes. The second item on page 41, which is also categorical program reductions. I have a motion to adopt the package. All right, and I have 5 ayes on the Senate side and 5 ayes on the Assembly side. Page 42, community college fees.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
you're moving so
Department of
fast.
Finance.
Yes, I forgot to.
No, feel free to jump
get on the
in. We
record.
are moving quickly.
Yes, we had some concerns with the categorical package, particularly eliminating all the money for CTE out of that, and we really would like to see more flexibility. Basically, the flexibility that's proposed here just limits money within categoricals. Our proposal was to allow categorical money to be used to provide instruction, so your actions are kind of minimizing the amount of instruction that community colleges would like to be able to do.
Okay, thank you. We did discuss this again, and this is a different kind of, a different proposal than what the administration originally proposed.
But the career technical education is funded through the QEIA in another part of 98.
There
They
is-
get
there
38
is some money.
million in the other piece here. So
There is some money, but we're concerned about cutting all the
38
20.
million, which is more than what was here.
Okay. Page 42, we have a motion to adopt the package action. Page 42. 5 ayes on the Senate side.
Comment?
Mr. Nielo? Sure.
I'm not going to be supporting this, not because I don't support raising fees. We had a discussion about this a few days ago, and I was relating community college fees to the equivalent lower division costs at CSU and UC, and the comparison isn't even in the same municipality, let alone neighborhood or ballpark. I think that given that, and given the comparison of our community college fees to other states, I think it would be prudent to raise fees higher than this, especially given the existence of federal support. That federal support goes all the way up to $60 a unit for eligible folks. I think we should be targeting to raise those fees fully up to that level, but not all at once, but a $6 increment this year I don't believe is enough. I think we should be committed to doing that, and we should be more aggressive about the raise in the first year, and then more aggressive about making sure that everybody knows about the assistance that's available to minimize the actual impact on direct student costs. So my no vote is because I don't think we're going far enough, even close to going far enough.
Is yours the same?
So you would actually support higher fees, Mr. Nilo?
Yeah, well, I understand the logic.
As qualified,
I know, I'm just ripping them
qualified by my comments. I get your point,
Yeah, I know.
Madam Chair. I'm trying to divert it.
Good try, Mr. Nilo. I won't be
But
diverted.
not for parks, only for community college.
By the way, I have not consistently opposed fees that for directly for a service. I don't categorically oppose that. The DMV fee that we're going to be talking about, though, is not a fee.
That's true.
No, you're,
That's true.
yeah, the
It's not an
BLF
excess
fee that
tax.
we're talking
It's
about,
not a
right.
Sinclair fee.
With that on the record, Mr. Nielsen,
Join
did
my
you?
colleague, even though it's going to cost our family some money here.
I'll bet it does.
Okay. I did want to mention, though, we did debate this particular issue very, very thoroughly, both in public and we at least discussed this at great length in our briefing. LAO has had numerous reports on this over the years, so I'm ready to take this action, but I understand your point, and you got that on the record. Mr. Cheney?
Yeah, that would be my, I mean, this is always a difficult one. There's one piece of you that always wants the community colleges to be free because that's the way we were when we were kids. And that was how people entered the system, and it was the open access point. It has gotten to the place where everybody in the world is charging, and they're charging a lot more than we are, and DLAO makes a valid point with the new federal taxes. I think in the current year, the sticker shock of going above where we were in, I think this is the 2004, 5, or 6, we're at this level. So basically, this fee increase is taking it back to where it was the last time the budget was this bad. The last time the revenues were this low, that's the number that the community college fees were at. So it seems like a fair one, even though it's higher than we usually try to jump in a given year. It's more than a 20% increase. I think it's justifiable on that basis this year. And a program of where you were going with fees, if you did it intelligently over time, might be something that could be, if we actually laid out a scheme. But we tend to do this in a herky-jerky fashion, which makes it hard on students, because we drop at 5 and we add 5 and we drop 2 and we add 3, and and that has become a bigger problem, I think, in some ways than just trying to be consistent for students.
Okay, members, we need a vote then on page 42. Senate 5-0, Assembly 3-2. That concludes the agenda in higher education, and then we can move on to public safety.
Let me get my stuff out of there. Shall I take them and take that out? I know it's a mess. It is.
Have you ever been involved with that?
No, I used to dance, so we used to put together these ballets.
Productions, you are event scenes, go together all the way up to and including credits. The reason the show goes together. Hello, Bono.
Members, you're getting a handout that would show the actions we can take on pages 1 and 3 together. This is the judicial branch unallocated reduction in trial court security. So if you could take a look at that and see if we can take one action on this item. This would adopt trailer bill language and direct staff to continue working on implementation details, and there are some details listed on your handout as far as the 1 day per month court closure and how the savings would be scored, and then a package of money that would be used as well for the judicial branch. And this is the subject of weeks and weeks of months, actually, of discussion. And a lot of moving parts and a lot of parties that were involved. And I just want to say it was painful, but I also appreciate the cooperation of everybody involved very, very much. It took a while to get to the point where we can actually give you a handout and say that everybody is okay with this, and this is probably the best way in which we can implement this.
Yeah,
Mr.
Madam
Dutton?
Chair, we just feel that we need to give them more flexibility on that, so we won't be supporting the trailer bill language on this one.
Who do you want to give flexibility to?
To the courts.
They were part of this agreement.
This was the court's request.
Yeah, we're not imposing this. This was the part.
The fee structures and all the other things, and where they're actually taking it from, they proposed all these.
This is yeah. Well, they agreed to them. They didn't propose them, but they agreed to them.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. We believe it should be to their discretion as to where they take the dollars from. If they want to take it all from trial court, contributions, let them do that.
Well, they didn't want to.
The AOC.
Well, that's my whole point. So when you say that this is their recommendation, it wasn't.
No, what I said was this is the.
Well, you just said that they.
No, this is the
didn't want to
result
do it
of
this way.
negotiations. This is an agreement amongst all the parties that were involved, and it was a lengthy discussion.
But this isn't what they're telling us. So
This is what they're telling us.
Okay.
It was an agreement arrived at.
That's why.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I'm not so sure that that's an accurate statement, taking the representatives of all people sitting at this dais.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
I don't think that our staff agreed to all of the details in this particular.
No,
we're referring to the courts. He said the courts.
Right.
We said the
Okay.
courts
well, you
agreed.
say all parties involved.
I don't think she meant that.
No, I meant the courts, the sheriffs, the AOC, judges,
employees,
court employees, the stakeholders.
Stakeholders.
That's a better way of describing it. Right.
Well, I would concur with Senator Dutton. Even if the courts are agreeing with this, I would choose to give them more flexibility in how to provide security, short of setting a new standard that would overstate costs, but the ability to provide the security. I would hope that it would be the sheriffs, but in absence of flexibility of competition, you never really know what it should be. And there are fee issues in here, too, that are problematic.
So with that understood, then I think we can take one item on pages 1 and 3. Sounds like the vote will probably be 3-2-3-2. Mr. Nielsen, did you have something to add? Oh, an aye on this? Okay. So I need a motion to adopt the handout. It's been moved. So on the Senate side, it's 3 ayes and 2 noes, and on the Assembly side, it's 4 ayes, 1 no. Mr. DeLeon is an aye. Great. Pages 1 and 3. Page 2, again, the judicial branch. This is electronic court reporting, and the recommendation is to adopt Assembly trailer bill language. The language. Okay, we have a motion.
I think the language
Go ahead.
gives them some opportunity to use it.
Yes, there's some opportunity to use electronic court reporting, but it's not adopted broadly overall. All right, I have a motion. On the Senate side, it's 3 ayes, 2 noes. On the Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Okay. All right. Page 4, California Emergency Management Agency. This is the Federal Stimulus Justice Assistance Grant, one time only. The action is to reduce state operations amount to $592,000, increase local assistance amount to $135 million, and adopt budget bill language specifying allocation of the federal funds. It's been moved to adopt. Senate, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly, 3 ayes. Yeah, I'm waiting.
One of the concerns I had about this, Madam Chairman, is the using of the one-time monies for long-term obligations. That was of some concern to me. Federal stimulus grant monies,
Yeah, I don't know that we're using them for long-term.
well, it will create at least a long-term expectation. It's just
All federal money seems to do that anymore.
I know, and we've taken a pretty strong...
One-time money from the state seems to create that in local governments, too.
It certainly does. It does. But I'm okay on it, but I have to kind of voice a reservation about it. It's been a historic position of mine as we accept the federal stimulus monies, that if we don't, in fact, create a long-term obligation, we do create a long-term expectation, and it becomes problematic. That's rhetorical.
That's fair.
No, that's fine. Get that on the record so it's understood. Then on the Senate, did I record a vote with three ayes, 2 noes? Page 4. 3 ayes, 2 noes. On the Assembly side, it is Mr. Nielsen's an aye. Okay, 3 ayes, 2 noes.
Oh, I thought you were an aye after that.
No, he changed his mind. He clarified it.
There's a handout.
Okay, moving on to page 8 through 12, we have a package that's being handed out. Members could take a look at that package, and we can consider whether to take one action or if you need to divide it up into votes page by page.
Madam Chair, we prefer one action.
One action, okay. On the Assembly side, is one action okay? This would be pages 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And it's the package that you have in front of you, the one page.
Correction.
You're okay on one action. Mr. Leno?
I just want to say that a lot of time, concern went into these compromise resolutions. I believe they're a judicious approach. We are struggling mightily to reach some equitable savings in corrections. And even with all our efforts, it won't match the level of savings that we have found in a wide variety of other portions of state operations. So I think this is minimally what we should do, and conversations can continue. But for now, I think this is, as I said, a judicious approach.
I think that's well said. Do I have a motion to adopt the package? All right, I have a motion. On the Senate side, it's 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly side, Mr. Nielsen, go ahead.
I just have to observe, Madam Chair and members, that this is one of the more problematic votes I think anyone's going to ever take around here. For years, I've offered a number of constructive ways to deal with this, but what we have before us is not. And the product of this is going to be extensive victimization and some problems out in society. And I sadly would predict that after some victimization, there are going to be legislative hearings and a lot of finger-pointing about what happened here. This is going to result in a very significant impact of a universe of individuals who unfortunately are not rehabilitated and will continue their criminality, who will not have available to them in the community resources or in fact even supervision to discipline them to stay within the treatment that may be available, or the sanctions, in fact, the sanction for continued criminality. I believe that this is going to result in a very significant cost to society, and I have to be a very vigorous no vote on these particular items.
Thank you. I don't disagree with your analysis. So on the Assembly side, then, we will record a 3-2 vote. All right. Page 14, then. Was there, Mr. Leno, did you have a?
No,
okay.
just did you give the Senate?
Page 14, technical adjustment to reducing recidivism strategies funding, and the motion I would ask for is to approve the governor's May revised proposal. It's been moved. Senate, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly, page 14. All right, 5 ayes. 5 ayes in the Assembly side. Page 19, we don't need to take any action at this point.
Madam Chair, if I may, I know that was on the table, and I would like to thank the majority for their reconsideration of that item. It's an agreement that was made that finally gives some security to local law enforcement in terms of assurances of funding. And with some of the impacts of just an immediate prior decision, this at least will be a little bit helpful to them. And it has become very significantly a plus for local government. So thank you.
We'll leave it open, but it does fall into the category of long-term expectations created by things that didn't start out that way.
Consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds.
I often remind myself of that. Okay, we can move on to the vote-only list. It's 15 items long, over 2 pages. I would note these are judicial branch issues, and there is one technical correction to the Department of Justice issue that staff is continuing to work on. So I'd ask members if we can take...
So are we on 15, are we voting on 15, or did you say?
That would be the recommendation.
Yeah, I'll need to pull that one off.
Item 15? Okay.
Yes.
So can we take one action then on items 1 through 14? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to move. That's been moved. On the Senate side, items 1 through 14. 4 ayes. Mr. Lowenthal has stepped away momentarily to go vote in committee, and we'll add him when he returns. On the Assembly side, 5 ayes. Great. Then on page 15, we'll take a separate vote. So do I have a motion to approve?
Can I just ask one question on that one?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Dunn.
Because I don't remember looking at this before, but why is this not being left under the Department of Real Estate or for using their money? My understanding is there may have to be an increase in fees in order to do that.
It's a regulation fund, so I think the enforcement under this program has to happen from the Attorney General's office. Is that the issue?
There's
to
a
make
loan.
sure that we've
It's a
got
loan
these
that-
fraudulent foreclosure people floating around out there, and I assume this is to have the Attorney General pursuing the fraudulent foreclosure people.
But I thought it had to do with the licensing and so forth, too.
I can clarify.
Department of Finance, go ahead.
Thanks. Jennifer Osborne, Department of Finance. The proposal here is to provide a loan from the real estate fund to a fund that was created in statute for then this specific activity and let them do startup activities. And then once the new foreclosure consultants program is up and running, conceivably the loan would be repaid. So it's just authorizing a loan from a special fund that has cash to pay for startup and then repay once it's up and running.
Okay, and they have surplus cash then? Because I understand they're looking at license fee increases.
It's our understanding that the fund could accommodate this loan.
Okay.
Okay. With that clarification, members, I need a motion to, I think I have a motion to approve. On the Senate side, 2 ayes, 2 noes, and we will ask Mr. Lowenthal to add on when he returns. Assembly side, 5 ayes, 3 ayes, 2 noes. That okay, that concludes the public safety agenda. We can move on now to human services. All right, we're ready to move on to Human Services. We have 26 pages here. We have a number of different handouts. The first one is page 1, Elimination of Multipurpose Senior Services Program, and our proposal is to reject the May revision. I have a motion on the Senate side. 2 ayes, 2 noes, and Mr. Lowenthal has had to go back to Transportation Committee to vote, and so we'll add him on when he returns. On the Assembly side, to reject the May revision proposal, the vote is
MSSP.
MSSP, your aye.
Aye to reject.
Aye to reject the May revision proposal. So 5 ayes. All right. Pages 2 and 3, we have a handout. These are this is elimination of linkages program and elimination of community-based services program. We have the handout. For the linkages program, we would approve a reduction of $2.5 million. We would adopt placeholder trailer bill language to establish priority for individuals living in poverty. In the brown bag program, we would reject the May revision proposal to eliminate the program. Senior companion program, we would improve the proposal to eliminate general fund support and corresponding funds for administration. For respite purchase of services program, we would approve the May revision proposal, and for Alzheimer's Day Care Resource Center, we would approve a reduction of $1.2 million general fund effective October 1 and reject the remainder of the proposed cut and adopt trailer bill language, placeholder trailer bill language. So members, those are the items in front of us. All right, it's been moved to adopt, and I have 4 ayes on the Senate side and 5 ayes on the Assembly side. Page 4, this would conform to action taken in health. It's my understanding we don't need to take a vote here. Pages 5 and 6, excuse me, page 5, drug Medi-Cal reduction of 10%. The proposal is to approve the May revised proposal. I need a motion. Mr. Dutton has moved adoption of the May revised proposal. On the Senate side, we have 4 ayes, and on the Assembly side, 5 ayes. Page 6, elimination of Substance Abuse and Crime Prevention Act and Substance Abuse Offender Treatment Program. Proposal is to approve May revised proposal to eliminate $90 million for SACPA, and reject elimination of $18 million for OTP.
I think we need to say something.
Go ahead, Mr. Cheney.
I just, this is one where we just finished talking about corrections. We are going to need, with all of the realignments and trying to use probation and community services more, we do need this drug treatment beds. Part of the reason for this proposal we would leave the $18 million in the OTP program for some and continue to seek federal funds to match it. We think some of the federal funds that are coming in could be used to provide these drug treatment beds. I'm very reluctant, tricky to completely zero out the base program, but for the moment, I think we may be able to at least find, and it would be one time probably, funds to backfill it and then hopefully get back to where we can fund it naturally next year.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just to follow up on Senator Cheney's comments, because I, for one, have been a long time supporter of the success of Prop 36. This is very painful to cast a vote to remove all general fund support for it, but I do so with the conviction, great hope, and expectation that if we're not able to backfill all of it, a good portion of it. So we are not abandoning Prop 36 and its benefits. UCLA study shows quite clearly it has saved the state upwards of $1 billion or more and rescued the lives of many Californians, so we're not walking away from it in any way.
And the requirement for the counties to divert would remain in, the law to divert would remain in law. The question is whether to make sure we can provide the treatment beds to them, and we're going to keep trying to find other resources to do.
That's right.
Madam Chair, if I may just further attest to that, I am a firm believer that Prop 36 has been a huge success, not so much for parolees as it's been run within corrections, but in the community, it's been a huge success. And this is a good action for now, and that we would hope some forthcoming funds would help keep it going. But prospectively, I certainly am an endorser of Prop 36.
All right, members, I think we have a motion on this. All right, Senate is 4 ayes, and Assembly is 5 ayes. Page 8, creation of subsidized relative guardianship. The action is to reject the May revised proposal and score savings from higher federal match via TANF ECF. Does the Department of Finance have a comment on this?
Yeah, Nick Buchan, Department of Finance. This action on itself would result in savings on the CalWORks side in terms of the TANF emergency contingency funds. However, the May revision included it was already scoring some of this savings, so it has a technical error. So to correct that technical error, then this will actually result in a slight cost. But the policy of your action is a savings.
And LAO apparently agrees with that clarification. All right. I have a motion. All right, I have a motion, and Senate side is 5 ayes. Assembly side, 5 ayes. Mr. Lowenthal, in your absence, we took actions in Human Services on pages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Can we add your aye vote? Thank you very much. All right. On page 13, elimination of state funding for community care licensing. We have a handout, I believe. Okay, members, the proposal is summarized in the handout, and essentially we are rejecting the May revised proposal and approving $5.3 million of general fund reduction on a one-time basis, affirming and maintaining the 10% fee increase, and approving placeholder trailer bill language.
The result, as I understand it, Madam Chair, results in about $7.5 million in general fund savings.
That's yes. I'm seeing nods at the table. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion? We have a motion on the Senate side. 5 ayes. Assembly side. 5 ayes. Is Mr. Blumenfield in the room? You're an aye. Thank you. 5 ayes on the Assembly side. Pages 14 through 18, these are IHSS issues, and we have a handout on this. We will be taking 4 separate votes, however. So we'll take it page by page, I believe. Okay, I've been advised, I think, on how you want to divide up the votes. So, members, have you had a chance to look at the handout? Okay. Ms. Walters, if you'd like to start about how you'd like to take the vote. I understand you want to take a couple of issues together. My understanding is the share of cost buyout and the cost containment you wanted to take a separate vote on. You wanted to vote on those items together?
Yeah, first, but I do have a question
Go
to the
ahead.
Department of Finance. on page 14. And I would just like to ask the Department of Finance what the difference of the May revise savings is versus what the conference committee compromise for all of IHSS.
It's about $650 million.
Okay.
Pardon? How much?
It's approximately $650 million. Our total May revision savings from IHSS was roughly $765 million. So that compared to the 117 mentioned in the agenda is roughly the 650.
Okay. With that, Madam Chair, I would like to move the May revise.
Can I just have one other number? Your proposal would have had, what, 900,000 consumers that don't get any, what was that number? I forgot. 90%. I don't remember what the number was, though. How many consumers would no longer receive services?
I think close to around 400,000.
So
90% of whatever the
existing
caseload is.
Mm-hmm. And the conference, this proposal, the conference compromise proposal, would eliminate 10 or 15% of the caseload?
Ginny Bella with the analyst's office. Yeah, a little less than 10%, about 9.7%.
But it would still eliminate caseload.
Yes.
And has cost containment. It does adopt the governor's fraud language.
No, it has
more or less. It's got a fraud component, though. No.
It does to establish a work group, is my understanding of the proposal. The language is different from the governor's May revision proposal.
Where's the governor's fraud proposal? Isn't that separate? Or is that in a different arena? Never mind. Okay. All right. But and then theirs is also the wage. The bigger difference here is the wage is 150 million of the governor's proposal was the wages. But actually, if you eliminated it, you kind of don't get to score that twice. I bet you scored it twice.
Now, there's different components in the governor's proposal that account for the difference in savings. A portion of it is wages. Also, the governor's proposal went further relative to the level of cost containment and focused services on a smaller portion of the population.
Right. You cut off 90%. We cut off the 10%. That's pretty much the difference.
And on the program integrity and fraud standpoint, the governor's May revision included a couple different components, including background checks for non-relative providers, some targeted reviews to make sure that timesheets were being submitted and paid for services delivered, and had additional.
I think we just passed that bill the other day. That's Senator Maldonado's bill that we passed, so that will happen on its own. The timesheet issue is in a policy bill that all of us voted for last week.
So we're going from there to 151. Okay.
So it's a different program integrity proposal. Ours was specific, related to some of the areas of identified problems, and then it went further in terms of targeting services to the neediest consumers. And it was similar type of approach, but it went further in terms of its application for a much greater level of savings.
Elio, you're nodding your head. You're in agreement. Okay. So, members, the motion before us now is to adopt the May revised proposal, which is essentially removing 90% of the folks who are in this program. Mr. Leno, I'm sorry, you had a comment.
Why don't you take this action first?
Yeah, I just one more on the things you just talked about, the background check kind of stuff. I don't think most of us are interested in some of those. I think some of them are in bills that are moving, like I said, Senator Maldonado had the bill for certifying time cards, and I think there's a lot of openness on that, but if I recall your proposal correctly, it mostly added a whole lot of new positions to do that with. That was part of our reluctance to do that. It goes back to our scoring problem. They add positions that I know are hard costs, and then they score savings that are a bit ephemeral, is the best word I can think of.
Currently, the Department of Healthcare Services is only 2 people to be able to follow up on fraud concerns for roughly 400,000 cases.
But you got 8 in February.
So
you got 6 more in February.
Yeah.
So, now you want another 20, and I get it, but when the proposal is more fleshed out, or if we can do these things discreetly, I think the professionalization, the issues of of background checks, the issues of time card integrity, all of that is something I think a lot of folks are interested in. It's just it didn't seem to us that the proposal was completely there yet, and it mostly was creating bureaucracy at the moment.
I will also say before we take the vote, just a comment that 90% reduction in caseload in IHSS to me is tantamount to eliminating the program, which I simply would not do. And it's another one of those proposals that sounds simple and logical and like it would result in some cost savings, but in fact it really is cost shifting. These folks would be removed from their homes because they are in such need of assistance and put into much, much more costly facilities. And somebody keeps reminding us, I think it's Mr. De Leon, there's only 12,000 available beds in nursing homes in the state of California. So the imagination runs wild as far as what would actually happen to these people that are being served by IHSS. So we do have a motion. So I'll ask for a vote on the Senate side, excuse me. 2 ayes, 3 noes.
to accept all ayes?
No, may revision.
No.
Right. And on the Assembly side, 2 ayes, 3 noes. All right, that motion fails. Mr. Leno?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to point out that in the cost containment section, and we do indeed attend to cost containment in a significant fashion, but with a fine eye to exactly who cannot manage to be eliminated from services. And so I've been getting many emails, I'm sure many of us have, from people who are in very severely disabled states, very concerned that their relatives or they themselves may find their way into institutional care. We have been careful to see that that does not happen. And so we've carved out recipients with paramedical services, protective supervision, and for recipients receiving 120 overall hours or more per month. So the kind of situations that Mr. De Leon had mentioned the other day, we would not see such horrific damage done to very severely disabled people.
All right, then it's my understanding. Go ahead, Ms. Walters.
Yeah, you can go ahead and take 14 and 15 together then.
Okay, so 14 and 15 would be
Share of costs.
the share of cost buyout and the cost containment. Is that right?
And 16 and 17.
Yeah, in one motion.
I'll just take 14 and 15
Yeah.
separate, I see.
So the motion would combine pages 14 and 15, and we would adopt the action as outlined in the handout. Okay? All right, so we have 5 ayes on the Senate side, and on the Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. All right? Then that's pages 14 and 15. Moving on to page 16, the reduction of state participation in IHSS wages. Our action would be to reject. I need a motion.
So moved. I would just point out when I'm moving that this acknowledges there has already been a reduction in wages that was part of the February budget that commences in July. So this workforce in some counties, depending on the state's participation in their wages, has already been reduced to a maximum of 10, whatever it is, with the 10.10 with the 60 cents for health insurance. So from the existing law, which would allow participation up to 12.10. That is already a cost shift to some counties. Some counties it will require a change in contracts and others it won't. So there's already been a wage reduction for some folks in this universe.
Okay, we have a motion. Senate side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Page, let's see. Can we take 17 and 18 together, or?
We prefer 17 by itself.
Okay, page 17, which is the Program Integrity Initiative. I would ask for a motion to adopt the action as described in the handout.
Before we do that, can I ask Department of
Certainly.
Finance? I would like to know if you think with this proposal that the savings is achievable.
it assumes a higher level of savings than what we were proposing, and it does not contain the changes that we believe are necessary, as well as the additional resources to achieve the savings. So, I don't think it would be achievable savings.
Yeah, it looks to me like it's scoring a false savings, and so with that, we're going to have to be a no.
What we did was we took their savings, we just didn't give them all the extra positions they were asking for to do it with. Right. We score it. They don't want to score the savings because they want 5 more or 10 more, however many more positions to do it with. We said the 6 positions you got new in February is enough positions to score those savings with. They're arguing that they need more people to do it with. They want to spend more. They don't really want to save more. They want to spend more. So.
Well, ultimately, it will be a savings.
Department of Finance, did you have something to add?
I think we believe the changes that we propose in the May revision, as well as the resources, are necessary to achieve the savings. We think that such things as background checks, as targeted reviews of timesheets, and all the different components that we propose in the May revision are needed in order to be able to realize the savings, and that without those changes, we don't believe the savings can be achieved.
Okay, thank you. All right, I need a motion then to adopt the action as listed on the handout on page 17. I have a motion on the Senate side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Then page 18, we'll take a separate vote on. This is the IHSS Public Authority Administration. We would reduce PA administration rates by 20% for general fund savings of $4.6 million. Okay, we have a motion on that. Senate side, 5 ayes. Assembly side, 5 ayes. All right, page 19. This is reduction of supplemental security income, SSI, SSP grants to the federal minimum. My understanding is you wanted to take 2 separate votes. Mr. Dutton?
Yeah, I'd like to take 2 separate votes and then also ask the, the Department of Finance to give me an indication as to what the difference is between the May revise and this proposal.
So just to clarify, we would take one action to reduce grants for couples to the federal minimum as proposed by the governor, and reduce grants for individuals by $5. Excuse me. And then the second vote would be to reject the governor's additional proposal to permanently eliminate the SSI SSP state COLA. So with that, Department of Finance, go ahead.
Yeah, first I'd like to hear from Finance because I want to move the May revise because I think it's a substantial differential.
Yeah, our May revision savings for eliminating the cash assistance program for immigrants as well as bringing SSI SSP grants down to the federal minimum was $337.7 million general fund, and I'm not aware of what the conference action
That's
saves.
including CAPI then is what you're saying?
Yes.
There's 337, yeah, that's probably right.
So what's the savings that we're going to realize with the action that's being proposed by conference? Is it 116 or something?
154.
154?
Over the full year, it's 116 in the budget year because of the delayed start date.
So it's about a 220 difference. Is that round numbers?
Well, no. Well, I don't know.
Budget year?
It's about 140.
For budget year though? Not, because this is,
he's adding in the 2 different programs, so that's why he's adding 2 programs together. And
if you exclude CAPI and just take the grants down to the federal minimum, that's $252 million.
And ours is 154 in the budget year.
So almost $100 million.
Okay. All right.
But I think both of them somehow the CAPI number gets folded in, so that's a little hard to understand.
Okay, well, I'd like to go ahead and move the May revise because I just think we're going to be really short.
Just to be clear, because there were 2 separate proposals that came at different times. One was to reduce grants for couples to the federal minimum and reduce grants for individuals by $20. And then the second May revised proposal that we got was to permanently eliminate the SSI SSP state COLA. So does your motion move both of those things? Or?
Yeah, include both of them.
Okay. All right. Mr. DeLeon? No? Okay. All right. Then we have a motion before us, members. Mr. Cheney.
Yeah, just one comment on so the governor's proposal, the one that I think we're talking about, is the one that would reduce individuals to 92% of poverty. They're already in July going to be reduced to 94% of poverty. Governor's proposal would take individuals down to 92% of poverty and the couples to 116. The alternate proposal is the same for couples and merely reduces the amount of takeaway, if you will, from the governor's proposal is to take away $20, and ours is $5. Just so we separate the two. And basically our sense for this was we were trying not to move people who were already receiving less than 100% of poverty too much lower than 100% of poverty.
Yeah, and our reason for going down this path is because of all the revenue increases that we've talked about, which are going to increase the cost of living in California, will actually affect these people indirectly as well. So we have concerns about the whole package.
Okay, members, we have a motion before us to adopt the May revision proposal. On the Senate, we have 2 ayes, 3 noes. Assembly side, 2 ayes, 3 noes. So that motion fails. So we'll go back to, I would ask for a motion to take the action as outlined in the handout. I have a motion. Did you want to take separate votes on this?
And this is not just on the trailer bill.
Just on the trailer bill.
You want to...
Grant reduction in SSI, SSP.
No, but you're going to be rejecting the May revision trailer bill, is that what I understand? Or
That's a second vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the vote I was talking about.
We'll take that vote separately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is it 5 ayes on the Senate side then?
For the grant reduction or for the...
This is on the grant reduction, to be clear. 5 ayes on the Senate side and 5 ayes on the Assembly side. Then we need a separate vote on the trailer bill language.
Trailer bill is permanent elimination of the COLA as opposed to temporary suspension of the COLA, which we've been doing every year for what seems like a permanent basis, but I got it.
So do I have a motion to reject that?
Yes.
Okay, so moved. And on the Senate side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Okay, so now we can move on to page 21, CalWORKS reduction proposals. We have a handout on this somewhere? It's on its way. Okay, I understand from our Republican colleagues that they'd like to take 4 separate votes on the items listed on the handouts. Is that correct? Okay. Members, any discussion before we start on that then? I think I have how you want it divided up. My understanding is the first action would be including rejection of the administration's May revise reduction proposals and the trailer bill language to permanently eliminate the CalWORKS COLA. That would be our first action. So I need a motion to take that action. Do I have a motion?
I'm sorry. Just on this.
It's been moved. The vote on the Senate side is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Then the second action would be to reduce the CalWORKs budget. That's been moved. All right, there's been a motion to reduce the CalWORKs budget. The Senate is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Ms. Walters, are you a no? I'm sorry, I'm a no. Okay. We're sorry, too. On the Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Then the third action would be to adopt the action on the CalWORKs caseload adjustment and the county allocation reversion. And the base for subsidized employment option under ECF. That would be all one action. All right, we have a motion. Senate is 5 ayes. Assembly is 5 ayes. Then the fourth and final action on this handout would be to adopt the employment training fund transfer. Do I have a motion?
Reluctant.
I have a motion. I have a reluctant motion. 3 ayes, 2 noes on the Senate side. Go
Just
ahead.
to point out, this is on a one-time basis. This was done for many, many years. We undid it a few years ago, and it pains me greatly because I worked very hard to undo it 3 or 4 years ago to do it again, but I think of it as a one-time shift, hopefully.
Okay. On the Assembly side, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Correct? No?
Employment training.
The employment training fund transfer. You're okay with that? 5 ayes in the Assembly side. All right, that takes care of the handout, and that takes care of pages 21 and 25. Page 22 actually has 2 items. It's the May revision proposal to eliminate CAPI and the May revision proposal to eliminate the California Food Assistance Program. What's your pleasure measure? Members, we can take 1 vote or we can take 2. 1 vote? Okay. So the proposal is to reject the May revision proposals for both.
But I would point out that CAPI has savings related to the previous action in SSI-SSP, that the same grant reductions that applied in SSI-SSP will apply to the CAPI recipients as well.
Right. It's $1 million savings. So do I have a motion? I have a motion. On the Senate side, the vote is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly, 3 ayes, 2 noes. So that's page 22. Page 23, Health and Human Services alignment, and the proposed, let's see, we've got a handout coming out. So this action would be to reject the May revised proposal on realignment, approve the realignment of $300 million in CalWORKs assistance payment costs to the counties, adopt placeholder trailer bill language to effectuate this change, and this would increase the county share from 2.5% of the total cost for CalWORKs assistance payment to a new proportional share, and then realignment revenue would come from shifting the vehicle license fee reserve from the Department of Motor Vehicles to the counties. Questions, comments? All right, we have a motion to adopt. Senate is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly is 3 ayes, 2 noes. That was page 23. Page 25, we've already dealt with page 25 earlier. Page 26. This is a conforming action on federal stimulus. It would conform with all other actions in HHS. Don't believe we need an action, do we? Okay. I do want to note also that all these actions should conform to DSS actions in other departments, because a lot of this flows into other agenda items. That closes out Human Services, members. We can now go on to General Government. Okay, let's get started on general government, and I do want to advise folks that we're going to take a brief break after completing the general government agenda, and we'll come back about half an hour after we break. General government begins on page 2. This is the Workforce Investment Act discretionary dollars that are an issue of discussion every year. Staff has worked with a variety of parties to try to determine the best use for the funds, and the proposal has been passed out, I believe, or is in the process of being passed out. Will be passed out momentarily. Okay, my understanding is that our Republican friends have asked that we take 3 separate votes, one on the items listed on the front of the page. Second vote would be on the items listed on the reverse of the page, and then the third vote would be on the employment training funds shift that would conform to what the action we just took in CalWorks. Is that right? Okay. So whenever we're ready, I can take a motion on the first, to adopt the items on the front page first. Anybody care to make a motion? Going once, going twice? Mr. Lowenthal? The Senate is?
It's the spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's the front.
The front of the thing.
Okay, 5 ayes on the Senate and 5 ayes in the Assembly. Then the second action would be to adopt the trailer bill language on the reverse side. I would need a motion on that.
Madam, would you?
Mr. Dutton?
On this one here, we were not aware that the section involving the veterans was going to be on this. We thought it was just the green-collar jobs by itself. So we're not in favor of the language proposed for the green-collar jobs. We are in favor of the language for the veterans.
Would you like to take 2
If we could.
separate votes on that then?
If we could, please.
Okay. Mr. Cheney?
Well, just for everybody's explanation, I think the green-collar jobs language is here because the JLBC said bring it to budget. Because this is the one where the governor issued the press release and then issued the request for proposals and then came to JLBC to get the, is this that one? Yeah, I mean, this is the green-collar jobs in WIA. Is this just to verify what the secretary's already done? Is this the language to let her do what she's already doing? Oh, it's not. Okay. I thought it was related to that because that's the only green-collar jobs proposal I knew about. So, all right, never mind.
So we'll take 2 separate actions then.
Yes.
The first action would be to adopt the language related to the green-collar jobs.
What is this then?
Could you give us a little bit more background?
With the secretaries. No. Well, I thought it was the administration's green-collar jobs proposal.
Kristen Shelton, Department of Finance. The administration proposed current year funding to support green-collar jobs as part of the ARA allocation for California. I think that there was concern that the proposal was consistent with the California Workforce Investment Board strategic planning activities. It's my understanding that the language is offered to just clarify that. I did work with staff and to make sure that this is just consistent with current practice. I don't think we have any issues or concerns with the proposal. The Workforce Investment Board is involved with all of this process in terms of helping develop RFP requirements and to help evaluate those proposals to make sure that the allocations go out consistent with their planning efforts.
And Madam Chair, our only objection was we just didn't feel it was necessary. That's all.
All right, with that clarification then, do I have a motion to adopt the language here on the green-collar jobs? It's been moved. Senate? 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly? 3 ayes, 2 noes. Then we can have a separate motion to adopt the language regarding the veterans. And that's been moved, and the Senate is 5 ayes. Assembly is 5 ayes. Then we would have a third vote on the employment training fund shift that conforms to the action we took in CalWorks. Do I have a motion? It's been moved. Senate is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly is 3 ayes, 2 noes.
No, wait. You were 5-0 on the shift. So.
Yeah.
This is the ETP CalWorks shift.
It's 5 ayes in the Assembly. All right. That got us through page 2. Page 3 conforms to item number 2. Page 7 is the next open item. This item refers to the governor's proposal to lower the state's cost for health care coverage rather than adopt the governor's proposal that we believe would significantly impact the benefits. We adopted $100 million in savings last week, and today we would adopt a control section to score potential savings based on new health rates that PERS will vote on later on this week. We had a lot of discussion about this last week, I recall, and we estimate a savings of $50 million. And we would adopt control language to recognize the revised health care rates when they become available. All right? So do I have a motion to adopt that action? All right, and the Senate is 5 ayes, Assembly is 5 ayes. Great. Page 9 is the proposed 5% salary reduction for all state employees. Our recommended action is to reject the governor's proposal, approve clarifying language, clarifying change to the control section 3.90, making it clear that the Bureau of State Audits is exempt from the current furloughs, and to adopt trailer bill language requiring state employee June 30th paychecks to be paid on July 1, which is really only a 2-minute delay for those of us that have automatic deposit, and allowing those costs to be scored in the fiscal year in which they are paid. So that's the recommended action. Mr. Dutton?
Yeah, I'm just curious because it was when we were talking about this type of things in an earlier meeting, it was referenced that there was never a proposal for doing any kind of change in benefits or pension and so forth. And I know that the governor had a proposal during the February budget process regarding the 25-year vesting period and so forth, and I'm just curious why we weren't looking at that. So, because it was something that was
haven't seen it since February.
Department of Finance.
We proposed it in February as well as resubmitted as part of the May revision, and it went along with the contracting for lower cost health care. Both are recommendations and changes relative to addressing our unfunded liabilities that came out of the OPEB commission that enumerated a number of different changes to address our unfunded liabilities and out-year costs relative to pension costs.
And see, that's some of the problems that I'm concerned about because, while we're taking all these actions, there's, we're not, obviously you're not going to do the 5% reduction, but, we're also trying to help, straighten out our structural problem to some degree too. And I keep getting feedback that because nobody ever proposes anything, then we're not dealing with it, but it is being proposed and it still isn't being dealt with. So I think we do need to have some discussion on that and come to some kind of, and we need to do it sooner than later. So
This seems to me, though, and I don't have a lot of recollection about all this, the detail of this, though, from earlier proposals, but a lot of this seems to be policy issue that should go through policy committee. And I don't know if it is or it isn't, or if not, why it hasn't been. Department of Finance, have you looked at that?
Have you not put anything in bills?
We proposed it as part of the budget package. It was both the prior item as well as a change in the vesting for new employees as part of trailer bill, based on the fact that our proposal was to achieve general fund savings in the budget year, and then in future years to have those savings be directed to prepay OPEB obligations.
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking is, because Mr. Dutton makes a good point, but in my opinion, it really needs to go through the policy committee rather than the budget committee, and so I would recommend that that be done. And
it may be true, but we've got other things that we dealt with that also, that we set to policy or from this committee. And so I actually think that, it's within what we've done previously. And just like the other thing we got to take a look at, and along these same lines, is SB 400 that has extreme, has some pretty severe cost to it, and we ought to reconsider SB 400. This enhanced the benefits back, I can't remember what year, I think it was around 2000, when we enhanced the benefits, and that really, I see the LEOs shaking their heads, so maybe the LEO can enlighten the committee.
Jason Dickerson, Analyst's Office. That was a 1999 bill that took effect in 2000, increasing certain categories of CalPERS benefits.
And so that's the other thing, because that's part of what I was saying earlier when we first started, is that we ought to be taking a look at some of the cost drivers that we did back in the 1990 and 2000, because we still have been trying to get back to that point over this last 8 or 9 years. Yeah, I appreciate the fact that you want to keep trying to tax your way out of this problem, but that ain't going to work, because the only thing you're doing
All
is
I'm saying is if you want to restore the spending level of 99, I want to restore the tax level.
Well, in order to do that, you're going to need the Dow to be back up to about 15,000. Then you'd be able to do that, because the people that are actually paying the bulk of those taxes don't have any money anymore. So, but I'm just saying you're going to have to take a look at some of these things, because I don't think you're going to be able to sustain it, because I don't see us doing anything based on, I know we're going to talk about revenues later, but I don't see anything there that's encouraging anything. It's going to actually drive up the cost even more. So, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention, because I do think it's been introduced, and I do think it's something that we ought to be talking about.
Okay, fair enough.
The vesting issue interests me, and I think it was talked about in subcommittee, but I also think it had no budget year implications. This is a continuing problem. The administration has no ability to introduce bills, so they introduce them all as trailers, regardless of whether they really are appropriate trailer bills or not. So, they should introduce bills. Sometimes they can't find members. Senator Dutton seems like he's willing to carry your bill. You ought to offer it up.
Is it my understanding then that when we get all done with this process, there will not be anything in here that deals with policy and only?
No, I'm trying
to understand. That's
but
all.
Some of these large issues that, we did send off to policy. We're getting some statements back, like on the reorgs and stuff. We are getting some stuff back. This one was big and complicated, and I think the subcommittees weren't prepared to take dramatic action of the kind that was proposed. But I think the whole thing is worthy of conversation, but it probably needs to be held in a context where you talk about more than just one item and one discrete thing. You have to sort of look at all of the benefits and the range of issues at the same time. That's all. I mean, that's all I'm saying. I mean,
Well, I would just add, if this has been an issue that's been kicking around since 1999, most of us here weren't here back then. And it's something that's complicated enough that I would not feel personally comfortable taking action right now during a budget non-policy committee. And if it is an issue that's that important, it sounds like there's been 8-9 years that we could have resolved this in policy committee. So.
But I ask
that would be what I think we should
can
do.
I ask that we do with this then, because the governor did make the proposal, can we send that to a policy committee and have them look at it?
Well, the problem is we're now, when we did that, originally we did that on our very first day of discussion of the May revise, and we had some time to do that. We're now at the last day, and we don't have the luxury of the time to do
But
that.
it's my understanding that conference
affect the
committee is going to
budget year,
keep,
so
it's going to be,
be
remain open. So why couldn't we then
Why don't
go ahead and
we'll
send this?
chat with the chair of PERS. I mean, I think it's a PERS issue, and I know I've talked to him about having some policy discussions on budget, on pension reform in general. So I think we could add this to their discussion, but I think you and I just need to talk to the PERS chair.
All right. With that discussion, then, can I have a motion to adopt the action as outlined?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Senate is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Moving to page 10, this is the governor's proposal for the ARA Task Force and Inspector General. The recommended action is to approve requested funding with temporary general fund loan to be repaid in the same fiscal year out of the ARA funds. However, move responsibility to the Department of Finance and adopt budget bill language regarding the use of funds, which the LAO would help draft. That is the recommended action. All right, do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, we raise the issue of
Mr. Nielsen.
temporary fund, the non-permanent positions for this entity, this federal stimulus money, that these are non-permanent positions. These are set term positions. Is that a part of what our understanding?
Yeah, limited term
Yeah.
is my understanding. So with that clarification then, I believe it's been moved by the Senate, and we have 5 ayes in the Senate and 5 ayes in the Assembly. Pages 11 and 12, I believe we can take together. They both relate to the 21st Century Project at the State Controller's Office. The recommended action is to approve the May revision on page 11 with trailer bill language and a control section. Page 12 is conforming. The trailer bill language and the budget control section give the Office of the Chief Information Officer the authority to achieve savings in statewide IT costs of at least $100 million. So that's the recommended action. It's been moved.
No, Madam Chair, we'd like
Mr.
to request
Nielsen?
if we could split this vote. We'd have some concern about the savings. Control language would be okay, but I'm not sure about the savings.
So you would like to separate out the vote on the trailer bill language, is that right? Okay.
Could I have somebody explain to me the savings?
Mr. Dutton.
The 100 million savings?
LAO?
Hi, Erica Lee, Legislative Analyst Office. My understanding with speaking to the OCIO is that a lot of these savings would come from renegotiating contracts across statewide, including IT projects as well as just IT contracts that don't have to do with projects themselves.
And do you feel that that's realistic and achievable?
From my conversations with them, it is, yes.
And I'm no expert, but my reservation is that it may not be. It's an unreasonable expectation. That's why I'd ask for the split of the vote.
Okay, we can take it separately. So then the first motion we need is to approve the May revision on page 11 with trailer bill language and a control section. I need a motion. It's been moved. The Senate is 2 ayes, 2 noes, with Mr. Lowenthal having momentarily stepped away. Assembly is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Then the second action would be to, I'm sorry.
I think they approved that one. I think they're actually yes on that one.
It's okay, we're all. You're just jumping ahead to the next vote. All right.
That's what Senator Nielsen is ahead of all.
We're all getting tired. So the Assembly action, Assembly vote is 5-0 on that action. The second action is to adopt the trailer bill language and budget control section to give the Office of the Chief Information Officer the authority to achieve statewide savings of $100 million in IT costs. And that's the one you're concerned with. So I need a motion to adopt that. It's been moved. Senate is 2 ayes, 2 noes, with Mr. Lowenthal having momentarily stepped away. And the Assembly is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Page 13 is the citizens redistricting. initiative. This is support for the Voters First Act. Mr. Cheney.
Well, this is very painful, but, you know, the Senate adopted the governor's, but I just have to say, I think people spent more on this campaign than it's costing us, and it's a shame that the money they spent on the campaign couldn't be used to support the state budget, and instead of redirecting poison control money, this is about the same amount of money we cut out of poison control the other day. And because we had an unfunded initiative that was put on the ballot, we are now being forced to fund it with the general fund. And I just kind of need to make that point again. It's $3 million, but if we don't do this, we're asking the poor state auditor who had nothing to do with the initiative and to do a job that they are not designed to do, but the initiative compels them to do with no resources. We can't do that either. It's not fair, and therefore we have to move general fund to this. If anybody can ever find another funding source, we should use it, but for the moment, I don't know that we have one besides general fund that we can put to this voter-approved mandate.
Okay. Would you like to address it in legislation? Okay, so the action would be to support the Voters First Act for a cost of $3 million. You have a motion? It could die for lack of a motion.
Oh.
Mr. Neal, you move it?
Madam Chair, we're going to oppose it because we kind of felt we could realign and we could cut down on some of their activities and do it within their existing budget. That's the reason why we were opposed to it.
You think the auditor could do this in her existing budget?
Well, if we realign and limit the JLAC audits so that they can fit it in, especially this only happens once every 10 years, so it just seemed to us rather. I know it's not a large amount of money, but they're talking about some other things that weren't either. But we just felt it might be more prudent to go ahead and just redirect, limit the number of audits, and then we could maybe get it to fit within the current budget. So,
all right, we have a motion to adopt. Was there someone else that wanted to make a comment? All right. Go ahead, Mr. Lowenthal.
Redistricting is not one of the shining moments of the state legislature, and I think that this is another example of when we did not take care of business, what has occurred, and let's go forward with this. We had an opportunity to really put forward a better proposal. We didn't do it. This is what the people put forward. I support this.
Mr. Leno?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question, whoever may know the answer. So clearly, this is a voter mandate. We need to take care of this. The wording in the Proposition 11 probably said something to the effect that we must fund this.
Mm-hmm.
How is that different from Prop 36, for example, which had funding in it for the first 5 years, and after that, the voter mandate stays in place, but the measure was written differently, which gave us the option of funding or not? Why are we not required to continue to fund in Prop 36, but we are required to fund this?
Prop 36, similar to this initiative, was very specific. It enacted a permanent change relative to the sentencing and a temporary appropriation. Similarly, this initiative is specific, and it provides for a $3 million appropriation or the level of resources needed to be able to perform the function. So it's consistent with both initiatives. Both initiatives had different language, and Prop 36's appropriation was temporary.
And this is just for this
This is a one-time appropriation of $3 million, can be used over multiple years.
That's the answer. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion to adopt. Senate? Oh, Mr. Cheney? No?
I was just going to say, Senator Dutton, we did look at that, and wasn't totally sure, but the JLAC committee felt strongly that and the Bureau of State Audits right now is really overloaded with federal responsibilities, and I think there was a lot of concern that because of her federal responsibilities, adding something more and asking her to do it within existing resources right now, when this is totally outside their normal realm of stuff to do, there's a reason to use separate money beyond the one that.
Well, let me ask you a question, because this will make a difference, because I thought they were getting reimbursed on the federal cost for federal compliance.
We are awaiting additional clarification from the federal government regarding exactly how reimbursements would work. The federal government has said that a portion of the funds can be used for for oversight activities and for some of the auditing and administrative functions. Exactly how that is to occur the specific claiming process has not been clarified yet by the federal government.
But is there intent to reimburse, or?
It's hard to tell.
Roughly 0.5%. The intent is that roughly 0.5% is available at the state level for oversight functions, auditing, administration of the funds, et cetera.
It's not just a stimulus, though. She has federal auditing is her primary job on a statutory basis, and the concern with this particular program is that the folks she needs to pay to do this are not the people who are on her standard payroll, because doing the activities that are required by Prop 11 are totally unrelated to auditing. So she literally has to contract and hire limited-term people and do all sorts of different things. She can't use her existing staff as a resource that you could redirect. That's the biggest problem with this.
Okay, we have a motion. Senate? 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly? 5 ayes. Mr. Blumenfield and Mr. De Leon, your ayes on this? Okay, thank you. All right, page 14, Bureau of State Audits. We don't need to take any action. Page 15, Emergency Housing Assistance Program. The Assembly approved $4 million for homeless shelters, which the governor eliminated last year, and the recommendation is to go with the Senate version due to lack of funds, general fund.
Senate version is $0 for the moment. So.
Yeah, we're reluctant, but
yeah, it's
all right.
There are some other compensating federal programs, but.
Are you making that motion?
Yeah, I'm with the Senate version.
Senate is 5-0, aye. Assembly is 5-0, aye. Mr. Blumenfield and Mr. De Leon, your ayes on this? Thank you. Page 16. This is the governor requested approval of $129 million in ARA funding, but we lacked detail. We're getting a handout on this.
No, except when it's general. Except when it's general. But it can be general also. Here's HCD.
So the recommendation is to approve $55.1 million in ARA funds, but reject funding for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program. Direct Department of Finance to submit a Section 28 letter once guidelines have been issued and a detailed expenditure plan has been developed. And that's what is delineated in your proposed action. Do I have a motion to adopt? Okay. And Senate is 5 ayes. Assembly is 5 ayes. Page 18 is the State Compensation Insurance Fund. We're still awaiting details on the proposal, but it's $1 billion of revenues, and so the recommendation is to approve. I have a motion. Senate vote, 3 ayes, 2 noes. Assembly is 3 ayes, 2 noes. Page 19, Military Department. The proposed action is to approve $450,000 of Prop 63 funds and the redirection of 3 positions from within existing resources. I have a motion. Senate vote on page 19. 5 ayes. Assembly is 5 ayes. Page 20, this adopts the administration's cash management proposals conforming with other actions on program payment deferrals, and the May revision language to include registered warrants under the Prompt Payment Act. And the recommended action is to approve. It's been moved, and the Senate is 5 ayes. The Assembly is 5 ayes. Page 22. This action approves the Senate budget bill language, which retains the clear authority of the state controller over emergency payment delays. And the proposed action is to approve the Senate action. Do I have a motion? All right.
The Senate language, yeah.
Oh, the language is
budget
being
bill
passed
language.
out.
This is the budget bill language. Oh, there's a compromise?
Well, let me just make sure it's the same.
Jason Dickerson from the analyst's office. This includes the compromise language you requested. We were fine with the Senate proposal. Finance from the table the other day mentioned some things they were focused on this issue with the Comptroller's office. Our compromise attempts to clarify that. Finance subsequently has asked that the whole proposal be withdrawn.
This was even worse. They don't even get to concur. That's right.
Department of Finance?
We had proposed language in order to expedite the process. Our preference in light of the alternatives that have been proposed is just to handle it under existing law. We don't think any language is necessary, and that's our preferred approach.
LAO, do you think it's okay to have no language?
If there were no language, it would be handled according to existing law. In the event that the controller had to implement an emergency cash delay plan, that would mean potentially that intended recipients of penalties and interest, registered warrant holders, vendors for the state might not be paid those penalties and interest in time because there would not be a clear mechanism to appropriate those funds. It would have to go through the supplemental appropriation process. The language that was proposed by Finance, the Senate version, which modified it, really, I think, had some good government motives to try to provide a clear way of paying the state's obligations in the hypothetical event the controller had to implement an emergency plan. So if you don't adopt any language, it's possible that recipients of interest and penalties would have a delay in receiving those.
So move the Senate version.
All right, the Senate version has been moved for adoption. Senate is 5 ayes. Assembly?
No.
2 noes, 3 ayes. That concludes the agenda in general government.
I think the other.
So we're going to be breaking for a while?
It appears. I don't know how. I don't know if they're just briefing.
All right, members, we're going to take a break to work out a couple of remaining issues, and we will return at 5:30. I need to clear the room so staff can do its reconciliation work, and we will again return at 5:30.